Act like you're crying. Really quick.
I am crying.
Go like this.
No, Mom, I'm actually seriously crying.
No, I know, but go like this for the video.
I had Christian on my shoulder and I was like, here, come pose for the thumbnail with me after the video was done. And that was so disgusting of me.
A video surfaced online and instantly went viral in many locations of a lifestyle vlogger by the name of Cheyenne. I don't really know how to pronounce it. And in this video, she was being super forceful with her kid and trying to get him to act sad very aggressively to get a thumbnail for a video.
Act like you're crying. Really quick.
I am crying.
Go like this.
No, Mom, I'm actually seriously crying.
No, I know, but go like this for the video.
I'm actually crying.
I know, look at me, look at me. Look at the camera, look at the camera.
Now it turns out that this was a mistake. She didn't mean to post it. And almost immediately after, she posted an apology video apologizing for her behavior. And I got tons of messages from you guys asking me, hey, what do you think of this? Do you think this is a genuine apology? Do you think she feels bad? So in this video, I'm gonna break down moments of that apology clip and show you exactly what someone like me, a behavior analyst, looks for in her words, in her gestures, to tell me if the remorse she's feeling is genuine, and if so, is she sorry she did it, or is she sorry that she got caught? Two very different things.
I know a lot of you didn't see it, only some of you saw the video, some of you did not. But I just put up a video maybe like 30 minutes ago letting you guys know we were gonna announce our big news today. I was letting you know that we got a puppy. Unfortunately, she has parvo, which she contracted before we bought her. We're very upset. We've been crying all day. It has been extremely scary. They don't know if she's gonna make it. It has been such an emotional day.
Okay, so right off the bat, we have a lot to work with. And I wanna start by talking about setting, especially as a vlogger, as a YouTuber. She understands how choosing the right setting can convey the right message. And there's a couple of really, really interesting decisions here. First of all, she's sitting on the floor. This is such an interesting thing to me. She obviously has a nice house. You can see there's a nice piece of furniture right next to her. She's not sitting there, she's not standing, she's sitting on the floor. Think about this, who sits on the floor? Sitting on the floor makes us either very vulnerable or in need of something. Kids sit on the floor, homeless people sit on the floor when they're asking for stuff. Think about how rarely we see homeless people on park benches or on ledges. They sit on the floor because it seems so much more like, I need your help, you need to help me. So there's this helplessness with her on the floor. The other thing I find interesting is the television behind her is still running. In my opinion, that's her trying to say, I stopped what I was doing. I was watching TV, but this is more important. I stopped what I was doing to bring you this message. Look how important this is. Look how much I need you right now to accept me and accept this apology. Now we're gonna jump to the end of her apology video. So I'm gonna do this a bit out of order because I want you to see what she sounds like and what she looks like when she's actually upset about something, and what that can teach us about when she's being deceptive and lying to you. But before we get to that, do me a huge favor, guys, hit that subscribe button, turn those notifications on for more amazing psychology and mentalism content.
People sending me extremely harassing, cussing, violent DMs on Instagram, that is never okay. I love my son. We are going through a very emotional situation with the new puppy, and me trying to get that thumbnail was just so wrong. It's such poor judgment of me, but it does not condone internet bullying and violence, and harassment is a crime. I've gotten some DMs that are disgusting. No one deserves that. I'm not tolerating that. I will own up to everything that I do that is wrong, and I will change it, but that is not okay.
Okay, so we're getting a lot of valuable information here about what she looks like and what she sounds like when she's actually upset about something. So first, let's look at her body language. We're seeing something significantly different than what we saw earlier and what we're about to see. Usually, she's very animated. She gestures with her hands like this. There's a lot of this stuff going on. But in this case, her arms and hands are practically still. They've come together, and we have what we call pacifying. Anytime you're in a position where you are massaging yourself or with a bit of pressure, you could sort of alleviate that stress. It's called pacifying. It's self-soothing. It's a way to calm ourselves down. And her hands are in that position. We also can't see her thumbs. It's usually a good rule of thumbs, get it, rule of thumbs, where if you can't see someone's thumbs, they're feeling unconfident. Think about it, it makes perfect sense. Our thumbs are very important. If they get damaged or hurt, it compromises our ability to pick up tools, to pick up weapons, to get things done. So we're very protective of our thumbs when we feel threatened. So in this case, we don't see them. Also, once again, her hands and arms are uncharacteristically still. Typically, when we're threatened by something, our limbic system kicks in, and psychologists will tell you that we go into fight or flight response. But there's a third F, and it's called freeze. In tribal times, when our ancestors were faced by a threat, they would have to decide either to run away, to fight it, or be really still to not draw attention to themselves. And we do that until today. It's encoded in your DNA. So when we see a threat, very often people who are usually very animated, all of a sudden we'll see a lot of stillness, and that's what we're seeing here. So her body language is telling us that she's definitely feeling threatened in this situation. But what does she sound like when she's actually upset, angry, threatened? Listen to the way she's talking about these messages. Listen to her cadence, the way she's saying her words. She's almost spitting her words out like darts. That is disgusting. I am not going to tolerate that. And her head is like jolting to emphasize that.
I've gotten some DMs that are disgusting. No one deserves that. I'm not tolerating that.
So this is when she actually feels disgusted, threatened, aggravated. We have these darts, we have this aggression. We can feel her throwing those darts at the camera, and that is a very interesting data point for me. This is what she sounds like when she's actually upset at something.
At the ending of the video, I was just so emotionally, honestly, completely worn out, emotional, crying the whole day. I had Christian on my shoulder and I was like, here, come pose for the thumbnail with me after the video was done. And that was so disgusting of me. I should not have done that at all. We were both already so sad and upset and in such a vulnerable state today. And so many of you commented about it. The first video I uploaded, I forgot to edit out like my bloopers, so I edited out the ending. And so many of you said, girl, we already saw that. We're so disappointed in you, in the mom you are. Like, why would you make him pose for a thumbnail? And my heart dropped.
Okay, a lot to work with here. So I want to start with that last sentence. When she saw those messages, my heart dropped. Not when she saw the footage of how she was treating her son, not when she thought about what she did. That's not when her heart dropped. It's when she got the messages that the heart dropped. This is someone who is very concerned with image and what she's projecting and people's opinion of her. That's what made her heart drop. Now, as she's talking about those messages, I want you to look at her hand that's resting on her knee, because we see a very clear and really good example of digital flexion. This is when our fingers slowly start moving inwards. When our confidence drops or when we're feeling high stress, our fingers tend to go inwards. The opposite is true as well. When we slowly extend outwards, it's someone who's getting comfortable and relaxing. The most important thing about that clip is the things she chose to talk about. And I'm gonna show you right now how to use that to know when someone is lying to you and if their apologies are sincere. Every story has 3 parts. A prologue, that's the part that leads up to the story itself, the main part of the story. Then you have the main story, the main event. Then you have the epilogue, the afterthought. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Truth tellers and liars typically have very different structure and how much attention they give to each of these parts. Truth tellers are going to start with one of 2 things. Either they're going to give you a really quick prologue just to set the scene to get to the main event, or they're going to sum up the main event really quickly in like a sentence or 2 and put that right before the prologue to get your attention, then give you the quick prologue, and that's it. They'll start with one of those 2 things. Next, they're going to go to the main event and they're going to spend a lot of time on this. This is important. They're being truthful. They want to tell you this story. You're going to see emotion. They're going to come alive. You're going to see a lot of that. And finally, you're going to get an epilogue, an afterthought, what happened afterwards, which will still have some emotions and it'll be mostly about how they felt and what they thought about it afterwards. Liars, on the other hand, very different story. Liars spend the most time on the prologue, setting the scene, tell you what was happening that day, going into a lot of details about everything before the main event, because that part is truthful. So they're like, I'm going to establish trust by honestly telling them how my day started. Then they get to the main event, they typically gloss over it. They're going to have a way shorter main event than it should be, and it's even going to be shorter than the prologue. And here's what's crazy. In most cases, liars leave out the epilogue. There's nothing after about how it was unbelievable. Afterwards, I was thinking to myself, how can I do something like that? Or, I was shook for the rest of the day. There's none of that because they can't tell you how they felt about something that never happened. So let's look at Jordan in this case. Which of those two structures do you think applies to her more? Now, keep in mind, I chopped up the clip quite a little bit, but if we look at that clip, that beginning part and the part we just looked at, she spends a lot of time talking about the day they had and how sad they were and this thing with the dog, and she's using that to try to get pity and set that up, and look how sad I am, and I'm on the floor, and I was having this terrible day. And then she glosses over what she did with her kid, and even in that moment, it's extremely inaccurate. She goes, I was like, oh hey, come on, let's get this thumbnail. She's sweeter in her retelling of the story than the clip that we saw where she was very forceful in telling him like, no, stop, come on, like almost ignoring the fact that he's actually sad to get this thumbnail.
I had Christian on my shoulder and I was like, here, come pose for the thumbnail with me.
Put one hand up, go like this. No, go like this. Put your hand like this. But let them see your mouth.
So she's glossing over that main point, and there's just no epilogue. There's nothing after that about how, immediately after I got that clip, I thought back on it, and none of that. Only when she talks about the messages that she received, which is a separate event, does she think back to what she did. Another golden lesson here is something called psychological distancing. When she talks about the clip she removed, she calls it bloopers. She says, I forgot to edit out the bloopers.
The first video I uploaded, I forgot to edit out like my bloopers, so I edited out the ending.
Is it a blooper? Is footage of you literally ignoring your kid's sadness and telling him, no, stop, we gotta get this thumbnail? Is that a blooper? I don't know if I'd call it a blooper. Psychological distancing is whenever we use words that are less harsh as a way to distance ourselves from something that we did. And calling it a blooper just distances from how bad the action actually is. Finally, when she talks about editing that thing out, we see 3 distinct body language signs. One of them is an eye flutter. We see this quick blink, and then we see her fix that hair, and finally we see the lips purse. Almost all 3 in rapid succession. To me, this indicates that she is really regretting having left that clip there. When we purse our lips usually, or lip compression, it's when we're holding something back. In this case, I think what she's holding back is like, that was really stupid of me. I really shouldn't have left that footage in there. It pretty much ruined my career. Eye flutter is whenever we have information overload, we're having a hard time expressing something. So that to me further confirms that. And finally, we have that grooming where it's like she's trying to make herself look good because she knows that was not a smart move.
And that's just, it's so wrong. I should have never done that. Looking back at the footage, I'm so disgusted with myself. I want to thank those of you who brought that to my attention.
Okay, we're seeing something very different now from when she was talking about the messages earlier, right? She's going, I was so disgusted with myself. Where are those darts? Where's that? That is unacceptable. I was disgusted with myself. Where is that? Where is that complete disgust? Where's that intolerance that she had towards the messages? It's not there anymore. She doesn't have the same amount of unacceptableness, is that a word? I think I just made up a word, about her own behavior as she does about those messages. And now her hands are doing like these karate chops. She's become like a karate master.
I know Kung Fu.
Earlier I said that as we relax, our fingers slowly will move outwards. This is called digital extension, and it happens when stress is being reduced. But this is very different. It goes beyond that to a very tense place, and that is called a stop gesture. And I want to thank my friend Chase Hughes for teaching me that. He is one of the best behavior analysts in the world. Stop gestures are something that we do when there's a sudden halt in our mind. Like think about it, if you're in the car and all of a sudden you're in the passenger seat and somebody slams the brakes, you go like this, like whenever we want something to stop. And conversationally as well, this is something like she wants this to stop. She wants this to go away. That's the way I'm interpreting this. Forget what we're seeing for a moment. Let's talk about what we're not seeing. So I'm not seeing any big signs of grief here. Typically, when we're sad, we see a lot of activity here. The eyebrows, the center corners of the eyebrows will go up. A lot of relaxation here around the mouth as the cheeks droop a little, corners of the mouth go down. The grief muscle here activates as we're sad. Droopiness in the eyes. I'm not seeing any of that. She's talking about how she was basically acting unacceptably and her heart sank and this and that. I'm not seeing it on her face. Now, is it possible that she's just trying to get a message across and she's not getting overly emotional or recalling that emotion? Maybe. Is it possible she had some plastic surgery on her face and that limits the amount of wrinkling and emotion we see? Maybe. I'm just saying that with genuine grief or sadness, what she's trying to say she was feeling here, I would like to see a little bit more of that on her face, and I'm just not seeing it. What I am seeing, however, not just in this clip, but pretty much everywhere in this video, is a lot of eyebrow flashing. Her eyebrows go up and flash, and she holds that for a couple of seconds quite often. And this is something that we do, which is called seeking approval. When we're looking for approval, think about how, like, when you run into someone at the airport that you know, first thing you do, hey, you know, we know each other. Our eyebrows go up. And this is something we also do when we're trying to seek approval. We're trying to get people to say, hey, look, it's okay, we know each other. Like, don't be mad at me. Like, I'm looking for that approval.
Coming on and saying, I'm so sorry. Anytime I make a mistake in life or my friends or family do, I'm the first person to say, I will still respect that person if they own it and they say sorry.
Did that feel like instructions to anyone else, or is it just me? It kind of feels like she's saying, I'm this way, so you guys have to be that way with me as well, because I will always forgive anyone who messes up this colossally. Let me know in the comments if you felt the same, like she's telling us that we should forgive her.
Someone even said in the last video, oh, you're just making him cry for the YouTube coin. Guys, let me just be honest with you. The coin, the money from one video is nothing even, it would be like less than $100 I would earn from that video, to be honest with you. Like with this current CPM rate, I'm not doing that to earn millions of dollars or thousands of dollars.
Oof, quite a few signs of deception on this one. Now, remember from my lie detection videos, we never ever look at one thing to tell us someone is lying. We need to observe a cluster, multiple things at the same time. So in this case, the first thing I want to talk about is blink rate. Her blink rate is really, really high, but I'm going to ignore that because this is where baseline is important. Her blink rate has been very high throughout this entire video. When we're stressed, we blink a lot. It's a way to bring moisture to the eyes, and she's been doing that this entire time. But there's a lot more going on. For example, she says, to be honest, and guys, honestly, twice. This is called a perception qualifier. She didn't use that many in the rest of the video, but this is something we do when we're going to lie. It's a way to sort of convince people, hey, I'm being honest here. So anything like to tell you the truth, to be honest, frankly, these are all called perception qualifiers, and there's two right there. Second, she does a grooming gesture that's very different than her typical grooming gesture. Usually she just does this. In this one, she pushes her hair back and then does this. I see this as a very nervous sort of like grooming herself to present this lie. Third, we are seeing anger on her face, and more specifically, we're seeing anger directed at the accuser. So often we'll see that when we accuse someone of something, or say someone accused them of something, we see anger towards the accuser or towards the line of questioning. And here, there's this anger and this condescension towards like, you think I'll make money on YouTube? Yeah, you do. You do make money on YouTube. She's trying to intimidate people with, dude, with the CPM rate, it's not like I'm gonna make money with this. You are gonna make money with this. You are a vlogger. Your videos do well. This is the reason you wanted this thumbnail. You were hoping it was gonna go viral and you were gonna make money. Listen, we never say something is for sure a lie, but I'm seeing quite a few indicators of deception there. We're also seeing a lip compression and a deep breath before she tells us that she's not going to make money with this video.
Oh, you're just making him cry for the YouTube coin. Guys, let me just be honest with you. Guys, let me just be honest with you. Guys, let me just be honest with you.
And this is typically when we take that deep breath before we begin, it's like, okay, here we go. My presentation, my fabrication is coming out. So that lip compression and that deep breath are interesting data points for me. So there it was, guys, a little peek at how behavior analysts take a look at situations like this to know if someone's being genuine. Always keep in mind, a lot of it is interpretation. So gestures, often we know what they can mean. We rarely know exactly what they do mean. So we have to take the context into consideration, what we're seeing. Let me know in the comments, what do you agree with? What do you disagree with? Is there something maybe you saw that you interpreted differently? Or maybe you have some questions that you saw something I didn't talk about, you think it might be important? Let me know in the comments. I would love to help you guys understand if the things you're seeing are accurate and can be used to detect deception or emotions or behavior. Guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what you thought of it, and I will see you on the next one.